Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dog Business. And I feel like I need to just put this out there to the world that we are in a brand new studio. We are on, what are they called?
Boucle
chairs, which to me just look like cat scratching chairs. We have a desk in front of us with some water that I now have to lean towards. And it's all very relaxed and it's all a little bit weird. But we're going to roll with it. We're going to see what happens. But that aside, today we are joined by Kate Hendry. I always hate saying surnames because I always feel like, did I get it right? Have I been talking to the right person? But no, it is Kate Hendry from Finbo Creative Studio. Hi, Kate. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys. And I'm loving the studio. It looks amazing. Very plush.
Very good, very good. Well, I was going to say it makes more sense to you because you're watching it, which is always really helpful, really helpful. So thank you for joining us today. Kate, tell us a little bit about you, who you are and what you do.
So I run Finbo Studio or Finbo Creative Studio. Sometimes I just make it shorter because it's easier. And basically I do all kinds of creative services for the pet industry. So that can be branding, websites, there's a little bit of strategy in there as well. So it's not just the creative visual stuff. Brochures, look, all the stuff that's sort of customer facing that we love to see and feel and talk about.
Ooh, I love that. And I love the fact that that was a nice, real, succinct, like elevator pitch, which is always really good. What was it that made you stay within the pet industry specifically then?
Do you know what? I think I've not solely focused on pets for that long. It's probably only been about 18 months. But I did previously have it a little bit broader, and I did pets, home and lifestyle. Because I love sort of the homeliness and, I've got a little 5-year-old boy who runs around, causes chaos. And that is the life I'm in, dogs, kids, house, There's not a whole lot outside of that when you've got a little one. So I probably just leaned into where I was in the stage of my life and the things that I'm passionate about. And you can't not be passionate about dogs, can you? Because they just bring us so much joy. So I did decide, let's just drop the home and the lifestyle and let's just focus on the dogs because, let's be honest, they're probably the ones that, they don't answer back for a start. And they probably cause us the least grief or the most grief, depending on what your dog's like. But yeah, I went in with my passion, what I love to do. And I think dealing with dog people just made more sense for me. Like corporate suits and all the stuffy kind of nonsense just didn't sit with me. So I thought I'm never going to go into like tech and finance and any of that sort of stuff. Dogs is, people who rock up and they're covered in dog hairs like it's glitter. I love that. So for me, it just brings me joy. So I love doing it. I know I can make a difference in these industries because I have a dog. I am a consumer as well as, I don't know what you want to call it. I hate the word expert because it's one of them things that people throw around and I think it loses its meaning. But, to be in that space as well as being a consumer of far too many dog things. It made sense for me to sit in that industry where it brought me joy and I felt like I could make a difference.
And how did you find that transition then? So when you dropped like the home bit and you went all in on the pets only or the pet industry only, how did that affect the business? Did it affect it by niching, or did you find that it opened up more doors for you? Like how did it change?
I made it so much easier. It has grown, so we're attributing that to the niche side of things as well. But yeah, it made everything so much easier. I mean, I talk a lot about strategy and your messaging and your voice and what you stand for. And I always had this little niggle that I wasn't doing it enough myself. But I think anyone in any industry, a dog trainer probably doesn't train their own dog enough. A dog groomer probably doesn't groom their own dog enough. And it's the same in my industry. I applied all the creative and all the knowledge to other people, and my own sort of stuff was lacking in the background at this point in time. And I was sort of aware, but I was like, not, we push it to the side. I thought, do you know what? Dogs are the things that make, light me up, and pets in general. I have a snake and a lizard and a lot of fish. Just pets in general just really lit me up, and I thought, let's just do it because I can really focus the messaging as well. So in terms of the actual niching, it meant that my mission statement wasn't wishy-washy. My values weren't wishy-washy. They were just, yes, we love dogs. Let's make that the core of everything. So, yeah, that's where I've learnt in, and it's made content easier. It's made messaging easier, which in turn, if it's easier for me, it's coming across clearer to the audience. So I'm getting more people in. Simple as that. So it does work.
Love this. Yeah. And I know that you do talk about, because I've heard you on podcasts before, and I know that you talk about the mission, vision, and values a lot. So when you're working with a client, so say if we came to you and said, we want to do some stuff with you, what is your process, and how important is that mission and vision and values to maybe somebody hasn't even thought about it? Do you find that people come along and you might ask that question and they go like, what are you talking about? And is that where you start?
Yeah, well, we start the way I deal with people right at the beginning, not necessarily at the beginning of the business, but the beginning when they meet me. I kind of liken it to, you've got a jigsaw and you've shook it up and all the pieces are everywhere, because 9 times out of 10 when people need what I'm offering, which is the clarity and the understanding, before we actually build anything visual, we need to spread out all these pieces. And your mission, your vision, your values and all that stuff, they're your corner pieces. So they are like, everything is built around them. I talk a lot in metaphors, I'm really sorry, but
I love the jigsaw analogy as well. I talk about this.
It's like, oh my God, Vicky talks to me about jigsaws all day long. I like a sat nav. That's my visual.
Oh, okay, I like that. Yeah,
I do like a jigsaw, but we're kind of blending the both now. So maybe it's a jigsaw of a sat nav.
Not sure how that would work. But
be a boring as fuck jigsaw.
Very boring jigsaw.
Anyway, sorry.
It could be. Whatever
We
floats your
digress.
boat.
Who knows? Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, it's fine.
Actually, no, you interrupted.
I did, because I like the jigsaw analogy. So back to your jigsaw analogy.
Yeah, so I always say so a lot as well. Corner pieces are essentially what you build from. And, values and things, they can just be such flippant things. And I've seen it done so many times. My random little hobby is finding big brand guidelines, because they're all available online, and like scrutinizing them, which sounds so nerdy. It is nerdy. It's fine, I'm going with it. But I look at things like they'll put just 5 words on a page. It's like authenticity. Does that grate on anyone? It's like when you just say the word authentic, and it's like there's nothing authentic about it. They just throw words at a page and they're like, these are the values we live by. And then they get forgotten. There's no reference to them. It doesn't sort of come through in how things are said. And this applies to massive brands sometimes. You look at these words and think, they're not authentic. The last 3 things I saw, they pretty much ran through AI. There's nothing authentic about that. So yeah, I try and really dig down and say, like, not what do you want to say, but what do you want to instill in people? If you are a caring brand, how can you show people that you care? Can you physically give them something? Can you, in the onboarding process, is there some sort of a care package you can deliver? That's how you can embody those values. The mission as well. Why does your brand exist in the market? And this is a huge question, because people go, well, because people, it'd be, say you're a dog walker and you're in a local area and there's no, other local dog walkers within this proximity. They go, well, because I serve this area and I need to make money. And I'm like, yeah, but why might they not drive an hour down the road? Because there's probably someone else who does something amazing or shows up in a different way. Why would they not go there? So it's like thinking a little bit more about why you exist and then putting that out to people. So there might be a dog walker who, I don't know, sings while you walk the dog. And it can be such a tiny, tiny thing, but you could be then the singing dog walker. And people think, oh, I love that about them. They're singing, my dog's wagging its tail, It's a little something different, but you can include that in your mission and your values. And, you can build an entire brand around these things. It's mad, the tiniest things that we think are nothing, that when you do this you dig into the things and you start to build the jigsaw, you find out silly little things about people that they do. I spoke to a dog groomer who does birthday grooms, and they all gather around and they sing happy birthday to the dog, and the dog wears a hat, bow, and
Wow.
they make a little video for social media. It's just cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they've like become known as like the birthday dog groomers. So he's like, oh, that's really cool. So you can build an entire brand around silly little traditions and just human things. And I think we just forget that human element a lot of the time, especially as dog people, because we focus on the dog as well. But there's a lot of human relatability that we take for granted that can
Yeah,
come
and I
out.
guess by you asking those questions, you're drawing that information out of people and almost like helping them create their values and mission and vision within that conversation, I guess.
Yeah, I do a trick. I do trick people. That sounds so sneaky. Um, I get them to sit and tell me about their business, and I'll sit there with my pen, and I'm really sneaky, and I write down the words that they say when you can sort of see their eyes light up, or the words they repeat a few times, and I'm like, right, okay, carry on, you know, like a doctor scribbling in the corner. And then I'll go back to them and say, do you know you said the word holistic 6 times? Do you know you smiled when you said the word, I can't even think of an example, but you smiled when you talked about a certain breed of dog or something like that. And they'll go, oh, no, I didn't. But those are the things that light me up. I'm like, right, okay, now we know. Because it's those subtleties that that we do miss. And those are like the clarity pieces that when you actually bring them to the forefront, you go, okay, that makes a whole lot more sense now.
Yeah. We get this when we're asking people about the services they offer and kind of just getting it all out on the table and going like, what is it you offer currently? And they'll say puppy classes, dog, one-to-one training, whatever. And I see the same thing when I'm speaking to people in that way, and they're suddenly going, oh, when the one-to-one sessions, we do this, we do that, we do the other, and then the puppy classes, and you can definitely see the difference in the way people come across, and that like you say, they light up inside, and you definitely go like, that's what you love. And people are always shocked. Like, if we do this, people are always a bit shocked. Like, how could you tell? I'm like, the way that you just like completely changed everything about the way you spoke, everything about the way you presented yourself. It totally changed. And I just think that's such a good way to do it without them really realizing, because you can put a lot of pressure on somebody, can't you, if you don't have that kind of right approach with it. So I love that. It's really cool.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's such an important thing. And the thing that I really liked was bringing that personal element into everything that you're doing. And I think, well, I don't think, 2025 is definitely a year where personal brands are having to really kick it up like 10x, if not a little bit more, to go, I am here, this is who I am. Because I think certainly since the pandemic, certainly since the introduction of AI, we are losing the ability to connect with people. And I think as a human race, we are craving that connection. We're craving the ability to have deep and meaningful relationships. And that can be with small business owners. It can be with large business owners. It can be with anyone. And we have to ensure that we are actually reaching out to our audience. And I think that massively is impacted from your mission and vision, and exactly like what you've said, like, what are you creating your business for? Who is it there to serve? What would you do? Like, for me, if you can guarantee that you've got all the money in the world, like say you've just won the lottery and you're set for life, would you still be doing the thing that you are doing? And for me personally, and I know Vicky would say the same, if the answer's no, then your mission and vision is not strong enough. Like, that business will collapse in a heartbeat. And if it would collapse that quickly, if you got the finances sorted, then it begs to question, like, why? Because a lot of business owners, don't we? We go through this thing where we're saying, I'm not getting enough inquiries, I'm not bringing in enough money, it's hard work, blah, 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 woe is me, all that kind of. We've all been there, we've all done it. I don't think that cycle's ever going to disappear for anybody. However, if that mission and vision is as strong and deeply ingrained in you, then you will still continue to show up, regardless of when it's hard, regardless of when it's working really fucking well as well. You will still continue to show up because you love it and you ooze that enthusiasm and that passion to want to do the thing that your business has set out to do. And I don't know, it's always a bit of a tricky conversation this to have with people, isn't it? Because arguably what we were essentially saying is, well, if you don't care enough, then what's the point? Because you have got to show up, you have got to do the work, you have got to put all this hard graft in. It's not necessarily a case of, like you say, like some of these big brands where you can tell it's just been a marketing department that's gone, oh, these sound quite sexy values and this sounds like a decent mission and vision, but then it's not ingrained in the culture, it's not ingrained in how they're showing up. And this is where it's our belief that 2025 is going to shine, and is, I should say, shining a spotlight on those organisations, both large and small, to say, are you genuinely authentic? Are you actually showing up how you want to be seen? It's my little rant.
No, I totally agree with everything you've said. And it's such a big thing. And it's easy for us to talk about mission and values and all that stuff. But for a smaller business, I also believe we're conditioned in a little way to behave small and to stay small and to almost not feel like we're deserving of having those words on a page, when the bigger brands are almost less deserving of having those words on the page because they can actually execute them less. The good thing about being small is you've still got that humanness. You've not got big teams running things in the background. You've got a personal connection. Why wouldn't we lean into that? You know, as a small, I get a lot of the time, smaller brands will say, oh, I don't think I'm big enough for a brand. And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't think I'm big enough. I'm like, you've got a brand. And then they sort of look at me a bit confused. And I'm like, well, how long have you had your business? They'd be like, well, 3 years. Okay, so you've got a brand. What are you running? You're running something. A brand is a perception. So do people have, nothing to say about your brand? Do they not think it's some sort of entity? And they go, yeah, okay, you've got a brand. And it's that thing that people just think, well, I'm not big enough. And in their head, they're like, I'm not worthy of this. They'll see it as something big and shiny and that puts them on a pedestal. It's not. It's a really unique way of influencing perception, essentially. Putting out your mission, your values, all the things you care about, and taking them from the inside, because we keep them all bottled up and we think, oh, this is what I think, but nobody else cares, and then flipping them onto the outside. And that's all it is. Like, people think branding is this big mysterious thing, and this is why I talk in riddles, because I'm always trying to talk about how you have a brand, you have a perception. If you've been running a business, if you've dealt with clients, even if you've not, and you're putting out social media content, people have a perception of who you are. They might have a perception of how much your services cost without knowing anything about you, just based on what they see. They have a perception of who you are as a human being based on what they see, which is mad, and it almost shouldn't be, because it feels really shallow, doesn't it? But people will have a perception, so you do. Yeah. Anyway, that's my little rant.
No, it's interesting because when people say branding, and I think the perception of branding is, oh, what's your colour palette and what's your, like, the actual, go on Canva, go on Canva and create your logo. Yeah. Like, go and find it, and you can it's a hard one, isn't it? Because I love Canva. I think it's an incredible tool. But you can tell.
How much time do people spend on it, though?
I was going to say, but you can tell, like, there's so many people that have just gone on and downloaded such a generic logo because it's got a dog in it, and we've just used that. And there's no personality in it at all. There's no injection into it. And it comes from this lack of actually not knowing who you are as a business. It comes back to this mission and vision. And this is why I'm glad you have opened up this episode with talking about this, because we bang on about this a lot, and I do think sometimes it falls on deaf ears in thinking it's just a sentence, or it's just again, some flippant values
It's like
that
a
you live and
tick
breathe
box
by.
exercise for a lot of people. And I think this is where it's always changing as well. So you can start off speaking to a new client and you can get an idea of what those might be initially. And as you go through the process and you start developing something new and being creative, and whether that's like with you or whether that's with us, and then suddenly those values become truer. Like they're like, oh, I've actually realized what my purpose is. I've actually realized that this is what I want to achieve in this industry, and I want to make a difference to people's lives. And I feel like people want to get it right so quickly from the start, because once I've done that, they'll let me move on to the next thing. Like it's almost like, let's get on to the exciting stuff. And it's like, but it all comes from this, and it's going to be a process where it's never like done. I feel like it's always going to be fluid as well. And like definitely for us, our values have changed over the time we've existed, because I think that we did it as a bit of a tick box exercise initially, if I'm being completely open and transparent, because that's what you should do. And I don't think we lived by some of them. Like we have lived by some of those values, but I feel like we're literally going through them right now and going like, I feel like we need to put a bit more of like everything we do and we live by and we operate in that business needs to be in those values, because if they're not, then that isn't us running the business how it should be, true to us and true to our clients and people that are potentially coming in. So like, I feel like if you don't know what they are, it's okay, because you can develop them and you can, you know, they're always going to be fluid and they're always going to change. Do you find that is the case with people sometimes?
Yeah, brand isn't a static thing. Like you might have static things within branding, like you said, your color palette, your logo, and that's great to have them as your statics, because you know people need that point of familiarity to come back to. But in terms of, yeah, things change all the time, don't they? I mean, look at where we're at. You know, a couple of weeks ago, everybody was making AI Barbies in a box, and you know, things change and people jump on things, and you know, other trends and other things will come along, and you know, we had the blooming pandemic and everyone had to go online, so you have to be adaptable, and that will still bring in your mission. Your mission might have always be to get face to face with people, and you know, then you're like, hang on, we had a period of time where we couldn't do that, let's revise it. um but obviously, like, you'll have a core, and your core almost doesn't change unless something really shakes it. um but yeah, in terms of where you go with things and how you communicate that, that's absolutely fluid. And I sort of say to people when I'm doing a branding exercise, I build into like all my packages a 6-month call, which is like just a consultative call where I'll come back and say, how is your brand being received? How are you finding using it? How are you doing all this stuff? And then sometimes we will change, we will tweak it. And you know, other people are like, you can't tweak a brand after 6 months. Of course you can, you know? And it might be minor, it might be major. It's something that you you know, any kind of marketing exercise is a test. We don't know the answers until we've tried stuff. So in terms of things being fluid, if you get too tied to something and it ends up not serving you, then you feel stuck again. So the best way to sort of see it is everything is test. Test, test, test. Keep it out there. And you also don't feel too precious, and you don't feel like you've got to do a massive amount of extra stuff to keep it up. Because if in your mind everything's just a test, then it's cool. If it falls on its face, it's cool. If we make a mistake, we're all human. We just come back, we tweak it, and we move on. But there is, you know, this massive perception of, you know, perfection. I'm guilty of it as much as anyone else as a creative. If you left, you know, if I didn't have a little time timer on my desk and I was doing a project, I would spend bloody hours, you know, trying to figure the tiniest details out. And I know that's, you know, within me, but I know business owners have this. It's sort of a trait, isn't it? We're all a little bit neurotic about things, or most of us anyway. I'm not going to talk for everyone. Maybe it's just me being slightly neurodiverse or something. But yeah, just having that sort of detail focus and things like that, I have to pull myself away, and I have to remember, you know, this is Tomorrow it'll be something different. And the next day it'll be something different. We've just got to do it in a way that feels as much like our brand as we can. And if the brand is there, then that will make more sense. What I see a lot of people do, especially like the smaller brands, is jumping on every single trend. Like the AI Barbie thing. Um, I feel like I've got a real gripe with it. I'm sorry if I'm having like a little bit of a moment. And sorry if anyone's done it, because I'm not, like, I get it. When everyone's doing something, everyone does something, and we think, oh, that's good. And also, it's really tempting to go, that's an easy piece of content. Let's tick a box. My sister, this is a random tangent, my sister did mine for me because I wasn't doing it. And I got the fattest little ugly Barbie in a box. I was like, geez, what have you sent me? But yeah, like obviously everyone was doing that. And I kind of thought, well, once you've seen two, you've seen them all. So if you're going to put messages and content and things, would your brand do it? Think of your brand as a human. This is another annoying thing I do. Say, like, what would you, if your brand was a human, where would it shop? What would it wear? What celebrity would it be? Or would it go and watch? Or what films would it be into? And try and live as that brand person. And then you'll know if you're sort of following the right trends or if you're just getting swept off in a tangent.
Oh, that's a good way of looking at it.
Such good advice. It was the first thing that came to my head was like our brand from a music point of view anyway is definitely dance vibes and
high vibe stuff.
Ibiza, like bit of raving, all of that, thrown in with a little bit of rock mashup that I keep desperately trying to shoehorn in, but it's predominantly dance, which we love.
And actually, people do say they love following us on Instagram because of the music we put on the stuff, which is like we'd never even thought about it. And then
but that's that importance, but isn't it? It's like that personality of like us is seeping through. So when actually we do post pictures of us at super quirky business conferences with face paint and glitter, it makes sense because that's how we show up. That's how we want to live and, you know, put everything through, down to even like the way we dress. We're both in kind of print stuff constantly. And you show up like this consistently. So yeah, we didn't jump on the Barbie doll AI thing either.
I'm glad because I've not offended you now.
No. I was like, again, but like, I think when we do the type of jobs that we do, like we're always critical, aren't we? Like we are analysing everything out there because we're going, okay, so what would that content be then? How are we wanting to show up and how are we wanting to do this? And even for me now, I've just opened, I feel like an absolute dinosaur, but I'm only just opening up my own personal Instagram account, which is very, again, dinosaur. But we're doing it. And even though that's my personal one, I was like, that's still a representation of our business because I know people are going to go and search for me and Vicky as individuals rather than our business. So it almost has to, it's our belief anyway. I know there is advice out there that will say you can have these two things as separate. It's our belief that I don't think you can, because if you are your business, and again, like if we're looking at small businesses and for dog professionals, in the most part, you're looking to service a local area, people want to know you. You need to have, because like you're going to be the one that's going to show up at people's houses. Like we deal with a lot of trainers, like our background is training. We would go out and knock on people's doors and be like, hi, you booked this session with us over the phone. Hi, like imagine if that was the first time they've seen your face. And it's all of this stuff that again we've experienced and we're putting through, but tying it back in with that personal brand bit that we are definitely in this day and age of now, because even down to the content that you're putting out, which you quite rightly pointed out, like AI is a fantastic tool to support you, but it shouldn't replace you. You still have to show up. You still need to put your face out there. You still need to put your tone of voice across. Use your voice. Use your interests and things that appeal to you so people can really connect with you and go like, right, okay, so you offer that service. So like with yourself, you're offering like creativity and branding stuff. Well, there's other people that offer that service as well. Not the only one. I don't, in fact, know any industry where there is only one person that offers the thing that that we're doing.
Exactly.
So what's the thing that's going to really differentiate you from somebody else? And I think this is where we get so hung up on desperately trying to create that USP, that unique selling point, and we go, but I don't offer anything different. I work with, we've had somebody on recently who just works with spaniels, and that's their niche bit. We've got people that maybe just do, or like you've just said with the birthday groomer, like, yeah, okay, those things set them apart, but it's still going to be the people behind it, because arguably another groomer could pop up and start doing birthday things and they can copy and mimic that, but is the consumer going to connect with the person doing it? And do they see flavors of themselves in that person that you are wanting to work with? I always remember you, Vic, saying to me that somebody worked with you because you had a motorhome.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But that was the reason that someone's reaching out, because it's these bits that we're peppering in of our own life that we have to put across. And I think we are, something you said earlier that I really liked, is that we're almost conditioned to stay small. I think this is a big part of being a small business owner, that conditioning, and the fact that this industry specifically within the dog realm is, I almost think we are feeding imposter syndrome as well.
Yeah, definitely. The way imposter syndrome has almost become, it wasn't a thing like, what, 5 years ago? I don't know, however many years ago. It wasn't a thing, but the way, like, we've almost glamorized imposter syndrome, like, we've got imposter syndrome, me too. But it's funny because you're talking about it, like things resonating, and that's what we've done as sort of a band of business owners. We've all resonated with each other over almost what we see as a weakness. So in a way, it's served a purpose because it's made each other understand and support each other. But yeah, you're right. It's not conclusive. It's not. Yeah, we've made it a thing where it wasn't a thing before. So almost why, So if you're gonna have that resonance with people, I think that's such a massive thing, isn't it? Just to remember that people understand people who get them and like them, and I hate the no like trust because it's so overused again, but no like and trust them. It, like you say about you walking into someone's house to train the dog, if they know nothing about you, they're gonna feel sort of uneasy. Like you letting a stranger into your house, it's quite a vulnerable thing to do. So if you have even a tiny, tiny thing that makes someone go, oh, I understand that, that makes you then like a safe person. And personality and branding is massively intertwined. And you will get a lot of people saying, I don't like to show my face. Is that going to damage my brand? And, I've got my hot take on that one. But I think everything, you can always do something in your way. There's no set path. But if you don't think outside of it, you will end up following that path. So there is a path there that people have walked. It's like, when you walk your dogs and people have trodden on a certain pathway, you'll see all the grasses down, and you will naturally follow that path, which is why people, turn to the paw print in the logo and then just go, oh, that'll do. And I'm on a little tirade about the paw print as well. But yeah, it's why people will sort of go that same path rather than sitting down and understanding who they are as a person, who they are as a business, and intertwining those. A brand is not just a flat thing, it can have a personality and it can match your personality. And yeah, I just kind of want, like, the biggest thing I want to say is to small business owners that think, I am not a big enough player in this industry. You've actually got a whole lot more power in the fact that it's you running it and it's not a team of faceless people. There is and like you say, 2025 and all the AI and all this stuff coming out, I think that's going to massively highlight, because the bigger brands don't need to stick a face on social media because they're known, or they don't think they do. Um, but yeah, they rely quite heavily on the laurels. They've been going for a while. They've got a name that people recognise. Whereas us smaller guys, we probably need to come out and show personality and feed it in because it's a smaller scale. but it's actually quite a powerful thing to have.
Oh my God, there's so much in that because, yeah, the pawpring thing. I've seen you talk about that, and I love that because it's like calling it out and going like, don't use that as your like what everyone else does. Like, show a bit of you. So I love that you that's your thing, like almost like the way I'd see it is go like you're good at doing things like that and going like, yeah, you don't have to be like everybody else because that's what we're all doing. And I genuinely think like I used to feel like I wasn't a big enough player to warrant these things. Like if someone had said to me back in the day as a dog trainer, a scratty dog trainer, as we like to say, you need to do your mission, vision and values because that will like really focus you and it'll drive everything and it will help with social media content or help with messaging and help attract your ideal client. I'd been like, what? Like, I don't think so. Like, I would have exactly felt not worthy. I'd have felt like that doesn't apply to me. Like, I'm such a small little fish in a massive pond. But you explaining it in that way helps I hope it really helps people understand that, to go, actually it gives you the identity, it gives you the power to attract the people you want, because I genuinely think that people don't stay with dog trainers long, like dog trainers, let's use that example because again that's what we are and that's what we know the most, but I don't think that people have long-lasting relationships with their clients based on the fact they're not showing the face, based on the fact that clients a lot of the time know nothing about them before they knock on that door. And that is the reality of it. And I know that's not just dog trainers, it can be walkers and groomers and all the rest of it as well. But I genuinely feel that that's going to give you longevity. It's going to give you that connection. It's going to give you that fulfillment that we all want in business that a lot of us aren't getting. And like, again, with your work then, if you are taking somebody through this journey and they're doing everything that, you know, you are suggesting because it will help with branding and all of that, do you find that as a knock-on effect, it has that kind of advantage as well, that they're bringing in better people and they're connecting with people in a better way as well?
Yeah, just the clarity alone. Understanding who you are as a business, and just getting that really clear in your mind and sticking it with your personality, because I think that's really important. I do apologise, my dog's trying to snuffle up a bed next to me.
Do you know, it wouldn't be a podcast with us without it being a dog involved.
Dogs always make appearances.
They add to
through
it.
some carrier bags on the floor, which obviously, you know, my house is super tiny.
Personal brand.
Yeah.
Yes, personal brand. Sorry, personal brand. And do you know what? Just that little bit of relatability. You know, right there, just talking about my dog making a mess, messy house. You know, you guys have got kids, you've got dogs. You'll relate. You know, so it kind of ties in, doesn't it? But people who do go out of the way to understand the brand deeper and stop thinking of it as almost a 9 to 5, they think of it as an entity on its own, do get better results. You know, and I see it every time I've worked with someone, they've got better results. They've made more money, they've got more clients, they've got more customers, they've sold more products. It just works, you know. It's because we've gone deeper. Yes, we've polished up the outside, but I put a post out the other day about a brand looking professional. You can look professional with a Canva logo because it, you know, you've not drawn it on the back of a napkin, but that doesn't equal purpose. So I try and talk to people about purposeful brands rather than professional brands. And it's all the stuff we've talked about, all the deeper stuff, and those are the things that will give you an edge, because it will pull out. Once you've started to build that jigsaw, you can't stop building that jigsaw. You know, things will you'll just find the pieces, and it's so natural once you know, and it makes things easier for people. The amount of times I've said, you know, at the beginning of a relationship with a client, they'll come to me and say, do you know, content is such a drain, it's such a pain in the bum, and I don't know what to say, I don't know what to put out there, I don't know what images to choose, or I'm just chucking stuff from AI or stock images and all this stuff. And then by the end of it, they're like, yeah, that last piece of content took me 10 minutes because I've got the foundations. I know what I'm talking about, so I know what my caption's going to be. because it's going to relate to this sort of pillar of my business. I know what my colours are, you know, I know what my sort of brand style is. And it can be such tiny little things, you know, a certain shape you use to put, you know, for a text box or something. But there's a lot of psychology behind simple things. And it's another rabbit hole that I could end up in all day long. But psychology. So I've got loads of really nerdy marketing psychology facts. Here's a good one. So people who've got a website never show more than sort of 4 things at one time. Sort of when you scroll down your screen, so what you've got on the screen, say you've got 4, say you've got a load of products. So you sell dog treats and you've got about 12 things all popped up on your screen. That's a massive turn off to people. If you break them into 4s, it actually makes the decisions much faster for people. So categorizing and literally putting things into boxes helps people because your brain can count to 4 without going 1, 2, 3, 4. But when it gets to 5, it has to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can just go, oh, that's 4. And it's just how long it takes your brain to choose something. So all these little things, like, they just look aesthetic, but there's thinking behind them. So it's so nerdy. I mean, like the colour blue, you very rarely see the colour blue on food packaging unless it's diet related. And that's because when we were like hunter-gatherers, we would avoid blueberries because they were more likely to be poisonous. But you see blue now in diet foods. Next time you go to the supermarket, have a look. You'll see what I mean.
I will.
But
Checking out the
yeah.
packaging.
But it's interesting, you know, and things like orange will make you feel hungry and thirsty because it's quite a foodie colour. And it's what subliminally all these little things do to your brain. You know, rounded corners say you're friendly. Sharp corners might say you're quite professional and restricted. So all these things that are little elements of things that you put out there, once you start getting that framework of, okay, we only use rounded corners, we only use these colours, we only talk about this thing, and we can talk about it in a million different ways, but it is this thing. Once you've got all that, it just becomes ridiculously natural and it makes it easier.
Yeah, it sounds really complicated, doesn't it? But this is what fascinates me about the dog industry because, again, certainly from a trainer behaviour side of it, we all geek out on the psychology of dogs. We love understanding how their brains work and how we can almost, I want to say the word manipulate, might get shut down for it, but
modify.
Modify, well, all of it, manipulate, modify. But you have the power essentially to be able to change and alter behaviour. I've definitely used that to my advantage with my 3 and 5-year-olds, so I like it. I'm going to stick with it. And the fact that we all geek out on this psychology side of it, it just seems to stop dead as if it's hit a brick wall and gone, oh, but it doesn't apply in my business and it doesn't apply to
the people that I work with.
Yeah,
the clients.
exactly. All of that. Like, it just doesn't seem to transfer. It's not become a transferable skill, I don't feel.
Yeah.
And sorry, yeah, I was just,
No.
even when you were saying earlier, like how you've got those like 4 positions and stuff on your website, again, like the psychology of, okay, well, I've got my colours now, I've got my font, I've got my logo. Does my website, does my platform, whichever it is you're using to convey your message and sell your product, what is the customer journey like? Are they receiving the information that you are wanting to actually try and put across? Do you even know what that customer journey is? And I would say for the most part, and I'm generalizing, but it doesn't even enter anybody's brain because we are just focused on, well, you, Mr., Mrs. client out there, you know that I offer this service. So I offer walking, I offer grooming, I offer training, whatever it is. You know I offer that. Here it is. This is the price point. Just buy it. And and that's the mindset that we are essentially operating in as business owners, going, it should be as simple as that. Why is it not as simple as that, Kate?
Do you know what, though? In a way, it almost should be. And I suppose we're talking about business purposes. It's probably why I do what I do, because I'm here so people don't have to nerd out about the psychology if that's not their thing. You know, there is, if you just want to be a dog trainer and train dogs, then that's fine. But maybe have a little think about the areas that might need sort of plug in the gaps. Can somebody else, because somebody else looking from the outside in, again, that will actually take a lot away. We don't, you think about yourself when you grow up, half of your life you don't really know who you are. I mean, I still question it myself some days, you know, that we're always learning about who we are, how we cope with things, how we do things. So add that to a business, it's just as hard. Somebody else coming in will look at it from a different perspective and say, oh, right, okay, you should be doing this, 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 and this. And if I had £1 for every time somebody's gone, oh my God, yes, that makes so much sense. You know, I'd probably be rich. Um, because we don't see it for ourselves. We're just so blind to some of the special things about us. And again, it's probably part of that conditioning to follow that path. And partly, again, like things like the imposter syndrome, it's almost become a thing like we want to have a little badge of honor, like
Aspire to be, to have imposter syndrome. Yeah.
yeah, I'm in the club, you know, have the little badge. But it's almost become that thing that we put ourselves in a box and we say, right, I am this person, my business is this thing, and that is where it stays. And if you look at the brands that are quite innovative and think a bit more, or, you know, even break it down to content, the things that go viral are the things that people have thought a little bit more about and have done something different. And people get really caught up in, I need to do something really different, like really amazingly different. And you don't. It can be the simplest thing. One of my clients, the sniffer shop, she was a scent work trainer for years. She still is. But alongside that, she's essentially become an inventor of scent work products, which are brilliant. And she's looked at what was available, and in her mind and in all the people she trains, she sees scent work as an enrichment activity rather than a behaviour correction type thing, or, you know, something to win awards for and to get better at. Because she said, in the dog's mind, it's not work, it's pure joy. And as soon as she said that to me, we built her entire brand around that. So her key word is nose joy. So she doesn't sell scent work equipment, she sells nose joy. And how much of a nicer thing is that to purchase for your dog? You know, it's not a thing, it's joy. So, and that's not, you know, it's not something that people don't know. A lot of people will look at scent work as an enrichment, especially in the industry. They know, oh, it's a really good enrichment activity. It lights them up. Your dog loves to do it. But when we looked at the other people in the industry that were making, you know, these pods and these things, nobody said it. They were just like, you know, buy this sniffer pod so your dog can sniff and get to the gold, the silver, or it will help the behaviour. And it was all very rigid. So we worked together. We basically flipped it on its head and said, we're not just selling products. Nose joy. And it made a massive, massive difference. So it doesn't have to be huge. Like, she literally said it to me. And I'm not, you know, I'm no miracle worker. I essentially take the things that people tell me and put them on the outside. But, you know, I've been called a magician for it. And I'm like, you told me this. You said this to me. And all we did was we rebuilt that jigsaw with that in the middle. So that big thing that you said that you thought was little becomes the entire picture. And it just flips it. But people get so caught up on thinking, you know, the entire process needs to be different. It can just be looking at what you do in a different way, describing it in a different way. Even just putting the personality into it, like this, you know, birthday dog groomers. Just do something different. And it's a small thing, isn't it? You might only do it once or twice in a year. If you make a big deal out of it, people remember you for it.
Yeah. And also that nose joy example takes the jargon away as well, because enrichment is what we understand in the industry, but is that what an owner is going to understand? Or like, buy this thing to give your dog nose joy. That just sounds happy, and it just sounds like, well, the dog, they love the dog, so I'm going to give my dog something that they love as well. Like, I just think that's so clever, but so simple at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it opened the doors for her. So previously, her audience was, I'd say, probably 90% trainers, and we said, like, if you could sell this product to more people and make more dogs, give more dogs that experience and give them the joy, would you? And she was like, absolutely. And now, like, I don't know the exact stats, but a lot more people have come in and they're beginners and they're buying the packs. And we've just come back to me because we need like beginner friendly stuff, to try and get them into it and to understand it a little bit more. But because they've latched onto that idea of joy, it takes away not the need for expertise, because there are always going to be people who want to dig deeper and to go into it as an activity and as something to, I don't know how they do it. It's like trails, isn't it? So they win things and they can get higher in the levels. But there's always going to be those people. But it's just opened the door to people who want to do it in the living room. Hide these little plastic things in the living room that the dogs can go and sniff out. And, for an anxious dog or something like that they can't always go on a walk, it's another way of the dog getting that engagement and getting that enrichment. It's opened up a whole new audience. So, yeah, it was really good.
It's brilliant. And actually, what I love from that, and, Vicky and I are really big advocates for investing in mentors, or and I think when you say mentors or coaches and stuff, it doesn't always necessarily have to be like super long term. It can be that, right, my business is operating really well in these areas, but I'm just a bit stuck on this bit here. Whatever that is, like if that's a dog training requirement specifically, brilliant. Invest in someone that's going to help you enhance your skill level. But I just don't see that we do it enough in terms of business. And I appreciate that this sounds incredibly biased coming from a business coach for the pet industry. However, it's something we live and breathe, and we invest a lot in mentors, and we don't hide it. We go, well, we need some people to externally look at our business because we're too close to it. We are in the thick of it. We're actually fortunate that there is two of us and we do have different viewpoints of it. But even with that, we're still too close to it. You need that external look in to go, well, hold on, like that's working really well. That's utter shite. Like, stop doing that. This is brilliant. Keep doing that. That one, just put a pin in it and maybe pick it up again in 12 months' time or whatever it is. But wherever the gaps are in your business, like, I think lean into it and get some support in whatever that is. And I speak from experience of being that dog trainer that purely invested because of that imposter syndrome and because of the environment we are creating within this industry, that we're almost, well, I don't know, scrap the almost, we are building our businesses for technically our competitors.
Yeah.
We're not building it for our clients anymore. We're building it to prove to other colleagues, air quote. I hate that word.
Colleagues. It sounds so formal.
It's so vague. It's like, you're not my colleague. I've never met you. I don't know you.
You called me a colleague.
I did call you a colleague.
She called me a colleague recently. I was like, a colleague? That just puts me so low down. But we are like, we are building businesses to almost impress. Prove to our peers that we're good enough.
Prove to other people, not our clients, that we're good enough. And I'm like, well, question, harsh reality, go and invest 2k on that course and learn all about dogs, and go and invest another 500 on that course and learn all about dogs, and go and invest another 300, 400, 500 quid on a conference to learn more about dogs. Brilliant. Yeah. What are you going to get out off the end of it? Are you actually, and again, like the context around it, if you are in a position where you are saying, I'm not making a living wage, I'm not earning enough to pay my bills and put food on the table, I'm not getting enough inquiries coming in, it's feast and famine months, everything's really stressful, I'm overwhelmed with everything, I don't know where to start, but I need to go and learn more about dogs. Like, what? Come on now.
Yeah.
real talk, like have that honest conversation with yourself and invest your time and energy and sometimes money in the areas that are going to help you. Because I think we're in, again, maybe linking it back to that, we're conditioned to playing small. We're conditioning ourselves to stay on that path that you spoke about earlier. Everyone is on this same path, and it is so fucking scary to just veer off and go, oh, let's go and explore down there and let's just see what could happen. And maybe let's not do what everybody else is doing. Because let's face it, what everybody else is doing clearly is not working. Because everyone is saying that they're not confident, not enough inquiries coming in, cost of living crisis, fuck my life. I think there's going to be a cost of living crisis for like the next 50 years. Like we've got it. But these are the things that we have to really own and talk about and go, okay, well, where are we actually investing our time and energy, and what areas of our business are we focusing on? Are we doing the mission and vision, or are we just sitting in front of a computer going, I don't know what to write, and what's going to make me look good to that person that's never ever going to say anything complimentary to me, and even if they do, is that going to pay my bills?
100%. And I do get it, because when you've not got that money coming in, or when you're in that place of almost desperation, the last thing you're going to want to do is invest in something. And it's probably the time that you need to invest in something, which is really blinking hard. I forgot we can swear on this one, can't we? So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still in like mum mode, blinking. Yeah, so just being that I've thrown good money on bad stuff. You know, hands up. I'm probably 90% of business owners have at some point.
We're in the club.
Yeah.
It's
all round.
It's a pretty crappy club, but hey. No, that
it's a good club. It's a good thing. Like you have to actually go.
You learn from it.
You do learn from it, and you go like we openly talk about an investment we did 2 years ago or something, and we genuinely thought, oh, this will be really good. It was something to do with social media and, you know, the holy grail of passive income. Do these things and you're going to be set for life. And we was like, oh, okay, I've bought into the dream. Let's go do it. And I sat there and it was like the worst investment of my life, both time, energy and money. However, we walked away from it going, do you know what? That's not what we want to do. That's actually not what we're trying to achieve at all. We want to do this instead. And yes, whilst that was shit, we learned a lot about how not to do customer service. So
true.
A bad investment, in our opinion, is always a good one as well, because you still learn something from it.
Yeah, very true. Very true. But if you can have a look at results that people have had and do a bit of research, you might actually get a good one. As well.
That as well.
Yeah, the importance of research. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a biggie.
Due diligence and all of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so easy to get swept up. I have a phrase for the kind of marketing you have problem solution, but then there's one I like to call pick the scab marketing, where someone will identify, okay, it sounds like mum mode, pick the scab, will identify a problem and then they agitate it to a point where you think, I've got this massive thing and I have to invest in this service, and they're nearly always shit because they've made it like a big thing. And I don't think you need to do that. Personally, this will probably ruffle a few feathers in marketing, because there's a lot of people that think that's great. Problem, agitate, solution. It's a thing. But I just don't think you need to agitate. If you recognise and you relate to someone's problem, that should be enough. The rest of it you can do in such a positive way. You know, like Nose Joy. There was no problem. We just made it a really positive solution. So yeah, but every time I've made a terrible decision with my money, it's always been someone's tried to exacerbate a problem in my head. So that always now is a bit of a red flag for me. So yeah, watch out for pick the scabs.
Beware of picking the scab.
I love it. There's so much to go into on this. Lots and lots. But I feel like we should be sensible and we should wrap this up, because there's been so many golden nuggets in this episode today, and I think there's going to be so many people that are going to sit and let the information
absorb,
digest.
Yeah, I knew this would be good, because I knew that you're like your core is kind of very much in alignment with ours, which it's great when we have people on like you, because it just all feels so good. But I'm going to ask you a difficult question now. Okay. And if you don't find it difficult, then I'd be amazed, because most people do. So we are always trying to find amazing guests like yourselves on the podcast, and we want to help the audience as much as we can. So who do you know, or who do you know of, that you feel would be a really good addition for our podcast to help our audience?
You could speak to my lovely client who offers nose joy. She'd be amazing. She'd be brilliant, because her passion for the scent work stuff that essentially turned her into an inventor. You know, the funny thing is, her husband makes some of the pods, and they literally drive over them in a Land Rover in the field that they're in to test them. It's like, it's mad, but I love that about her. Well, she doesn't go off to China to source stuff. She makes them. Her husband literally makes them, and they drive over them in a Land Rover to test them. And I think that's brilliant, and I love that. But yeah, her passion and how her business has come through from flipping things, you know, outside in sort of thing. And she'll tell you it was her idea. It was not my idea. It was like, it came from, you know, this sort of thing, just a normal conversation and understanding each other and listening and curiosity, which and is another thing I think we've lost along the way. Pure curiosity and actually wanting to listen to other people. Yeah, but she would be brilliant.
You did not find that question difficult at all. Most
people
get really stumped.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
And where can people find out more about you and Finbo Studios if they have loved the sound of everything you've talked about today?
They can find me at Finbo_studio on Instagram, or they can finbostudio.co.uk, the website. Yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere as Finbo Studio, so yeah, come find me.
Go check it out.
Incredible. Well, thank you ever so much for your time today, Kate. It's been lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thank you so much for having me.